Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas. UFC Vegas 91. I believe it's 91. Nicolau versus Perez. Flyweight main event. 5 rounds, 125 pounds. These guys are two of the best flyweights in the world. The rankings show that Nicolau is number 8 and Perez at number 11. Out of hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands, out of thousands of flyweights around the world, these guys are number 8, number 11. Yeah. So let's talk about the matchup stylistically. Max, what do you see in this fight?
Well, so first of all, I used to train with Alex, so there's that bias. But Alex is wrestling heavy. He has very good boxing, and then he also has very terrible leg kicks to feel. He's shut off my legs so many times with calf kicks. But then I know that his opponent has a jiu-jitsu black belt, and I've also seen that he how do you pronounce his last name? Nicolau. I've also seen that Nicolau is a counter fighter, and he moves around a lot, and he really goes in, and he can really drop guys bad if they're really pressing forward too much. And I do think that Alex can be very aggressive. He can read things so well on the fly, but he can be very aggressive coming forward. And I think he needs to be a little bit careful moving forward into a counter.
All right. So Matheus Nicolau, 31 years old. He's actually older than I thought. 19-3-1 record, 1 draw. He is coming off a loss against Brandon Royval. That knee down the middle is beautiful. Brandon Royval, assassin, right? But before that, he won 5, 6 straight. Yeah, and he beat Matt Schnell, finished Matt Schnell, beat David Dvorak, top 10. Tim Elliott, top 10, beat him, beat Manel Kopp, right? That's a hell of a streak right there before he faced off against Brandon Royval. That was a title eliminator, right? Because Brandon Royval ended up fighting for the title after that. So Nicolau is very close to the title. Perez has fought for the title already. So he's kind of like working himself back up, but he's not really on a good run right now. He's lost 3 in a row against Mohamed Makayev, Pantoja, and Figueiredo, and that is over like a 4-year span, basically. He's only fought 3 times over like 4 years, which is insane. And the fight that started the streak, the losing streak, was the title fight against Figueiredo, right? But before that, he was doing great, man. He had leg kick finishes. He had submission finishes. Man, he's fought the who's who. You know, he's fought, Jose Formiga, who's very good. He fought him, beat him. He's fought Joseph Benavidez, Eric Shelton, Shorty Torres. And we just mentioned, champions right there. Figueiredo, Pantoja, and Makayev is probably a future champion. And he actually surprised a lot of people in his last fight against Makayev, right? They, a lot of people counted him out and said, like, he's not gonna do very well against Makayev, and he actually did pretty well in the defensive wrestling, right? In that fight, he just, he didn't win, but he still showed that he's pretty good, right? He's still got some in the tank, even though he's had more canceled fights than anybody that I could ever remember, dude.
Yeah, and
you were with him during that time.
Yeah,
what was going on?
Overtraining is one thing. I think he trains so much, trains nonstop, and he's a workhorse, man. So he just like keeps going and going. But then I think sometimes the wheels fall off a little bit for him, and that's some of it. Some of obviously some of those cancellations were also his opponents, and then I also, I think sometimes I know he cuts the weight well and everything, but I think sometimes maybe it affects him more than even what he cares to admit. And I have a feeling that since he just fought recently, he didn't get too big. And so I think I'm hoping to see that, the weight cut doesn't affect him and he goes out there and reminds people who Alex Perez is, because he's super fucking good.
He is, but he hasn't been showing it in his fights, and but he's been fighting the champions, right? He's been fighting every single, like Pantoja champion, Figueiredo champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all the inactivity, man, it is very concerning. The last fight showed us that he's still good. I think this fight will determine clearly if he's still a top 15 fighter.
Yeah.
If he can't beat Nicolau, there's so many young, hungry guys that are probably younger, faster, just as skilled. And that speed kills, man. And if you're just as skilled as somebody else and they're faster at doing what you guys do well, then you're gonna lose, right?
Yeah.
Because they're faster at it, right? You could have the same skill set, but they're just faster.
Well, and that's
right?
the thing with the lower weight classes in general is when it comes down to it, if speed, conditioning, technique, of course, and I think the technique between these guys, like they have different styles, so it makes it interesting. I feel like Alex is, aggressive hands, hard leg kicks, angles, moving forward, and then wrestling. And then I feel like his opponent is more like he moves around, finds that counter. That's how he got, what's his name? Just before Schnell. That's how he knocked out Schnell. Schnell was pushing forward and he stepped back and bang, just caught him like right behind the ear. It looked like, and yeah, I mean he's got that power and everything. Like he dropped Schnell, I think multiple times just because Schnell was moving forward and bop.
Yeah.
So and then he's got submission wins, and I know he's a jiu-jitsu black belt as well. So
yeah, he got 5 knockout wins, 7 submission wins, and 12 decisions.
yeah.
He's only lost once by knockout. He's lost 5 times by submission and 2 decision losses for Perez. On the flip side, Nicolau, he is he's looking at 5 knockout wins. He's been knocked out 3 times. Submissions, 5 submission wins, never been submitted, and 9 decision wins, never lost a decision as well for Nicolau.
I do think Perez could. For Perez, I think I see him sort of boxing him up, keeping it relatively on the feet, just being careful, obviously, of the counters. And then if he wants to wrestle, that's like an exclamation point. And that's like just, like I said, an exclamation point rather than a key to victory kind of thing. And then on the flip side, I think if he, I keep drawing a blank on his name. I'm sorry, but if
What are you talking about?
The other one, not Perez,
Nicolau?
Nicolau. Yeah, thank you. I think if Nicolau gets him, is on the ground and everything, he's got that black belt. He's got submission victories and everything. He can obviously counter, and he likes to move around. So if he can bait Alex, then that's definitely something. Or he, they get on the ground and he starts hunting for subs.
I think it's almost a year since Nicolau last fought.
Yeah,
It was that knockout, and that knockout was pretty brutal. He was supposed to come back in January of this year, but Cop missed weight, so the fight was canceled. And then they rescheduled it for April against Cop, but Cop withdrew from that fight. Now he's returning. I think it's a benefit for him to not have fought, because that knockout, man, you don't know what it does to the brain.
Yeah.
And it was a brutal knockout. Maybe he would have came back too early against Cop and been knocked out again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it was these circumstances might have been, be in the benefit of Nicolau. I think Nicolau goes in there and he wins a decision. I think he wins a decision against Perez. Nicolau, a little bit younger. I think he's more in his prime. And Alex Perez, they're only 1 year difference, but I think Alex Perez, all those like cancel fights and like just the struggles that he's been through the last couple of years, that could take a toll on a fighter, man, and kind of like pull you away from like the rhythm that you created for yourself as a fighter, And
I think my like with regards to Alex and everything, I think the fact that Mikhail fight was close and a good performance and everything like that, despite obviously not getting the win. In my mind, I would hope that that's like a boost for him. And I feel like for Alex, having competed more recently is better for him. And then it's like for Nicolau, the fact that he didn't compete recently is better for him. So it's like, I think they kind of did the better thing for each of them. And, you know, I have a feeling that, you know, Alex was probably told like, hey, you got to win this fight. And probably told, hey, you got to take this fight too. But, you know, knowing Alex, I know he's hungry. I know he'll bring it. We'll just see what the result ends up being.
Was he doing camp at Syndicate?
Just the one. His
last fight, right?
No. Well, no. So that was, I think he was doing that at the Iridium Gym or at the PI.
Okay.
I worked with him before his fight with Manel Kopp, which got canceled.
Yeah.
But he weighed in, everything. He just had some health things that got the doctor said he wasn't good to fight. So.
Oh, so you're with him when the doctors came and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They withdrew him from the fight on fight day.
Yeah. See, like, you know, idiots will think like, oh, they chose to do that. Like they decide their medical future. It's like, no, that doesn't work that way. This is a sport.
Knowing these guys and everything, like, you know how often a doctor will say, no, you're not healthy to fight. And like the fighter's like, no, I can fight. And it's like, no. Like,
you could say that, but the doctor's not going to change his mind.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
because you say that you can fight. You know what I mean? Like the doctor's the doctor. He knows what's going on in your body.
100%.
You gotta trust them. Of course, fighters are gonna say, "Man, I want to fight." You know, because they invested so much into their camp, money, and they're just now that's all running through their mind. You know, since the doctor told them that you're not gonna get paid, basically. Yeah. And man, it's a shitty situation for everybody, especially the fighter.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's so crushing. Because you're like right at the edge of reaching your what is it? Your crossing line? What is that? The finishing line. You're right there at the finishing line. And then someone comes in and says, you can see the finishing line.
Yeah.
It's right there in front of you. And someone says, nope.
Yeah,
Your trip is over today.
People 100% don't understand how much shit you go through just to get to fight day. Not even the fight itself, right? Just the amount of just injuries and cancellations and you know whatever that a fighter has to go through. So my heart says Alex. I really hope to see him get in there and show some classic Perez and everything. Whether he is able to do that, we'll see. I think either way, it's going to be more likely it's going to be a drawn-out fight, and I bet you it's even a split decision on either side.
All right. I'm going with Nicolau decision on his side. All on his side. But, it's going to be a close fight. I don't think Perez is going to go down, easy, but who knows, man? Like, sometimes you just don't know what's going on in a fighter's camp and in his mind, you know what I mean?
Also, everyone wants to put MMA maths to things, and MMA maths is not real.
No.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't.
So, but either way, I think it'll be a really interesting fight.
For sure.
It's definitely an important fight for the flyweight division, and I'm looking forward to watching it.